Everybody seems to be focused on the mortgage interest rates and when is it going to come down, when I actually think that the real story is where are people moving from and where are they moving to.
And a new study is showing that more people are moving out of California than actually moving in.
Understanding that information is going to give you a real edge whether you're buying, you're selling, or you're investing. So for example, where I live in Sarasota or California, certain places in Arizona, they're all being shaped by different forces such as lifestyle, affordability, family decisions, and job opportunities. And so what I'm doing today in this video is look at 4 clean signals in order to give us a better understanding of where the opportunities lie within the U.S. housing market by region. We're going to look at full service moves, DIY moves, job growth. So we're also going to look at online searches. And once we stack that information together, we're going to see some clear trends and opportunities. Let's start off with the first signal. And here I'm really talking about full service moves. We're going to look at the data here. And by full service moves, I'm talking about pro movers who are helping families, retirees, perhaps corporate relocations. So these are very well planned moves. And looking at 2024 United Van Lines data, it paints a pretty clear picture. So first off, West Virginia led inbound at 66%. It's more affordable there, right? The Southeast, and that actually includes Miami, is pulling in families, of course, workers, especially remote workers, and retirees who are wanting to move somewhere warmer with tax breaks. Now, meanwhile, going back up north and to the west also. So here we're talking about New Jersey, Illinois, New York, California, and Massachusetts. Those areas topped outbound, especially with LA and San Francisco losing folks over affordability issues and also shifting markets. Now here's the nuance though, that the reasons are going to differ very clearly by states. So people are moving to Florida, for example, for so many different reasons, from warm weather year round to no state income tax. Now you also have an option of going to the Carolinas or Texas, and there you get plenty of warm weather as well, and it's more affordable in many cases, right? And the job market, especially in Texas, is pretty strong, so that's where people are also heading. It really comes down to, which area is going to have the majority pull for them. Many of these buyers are like kids in a candy store because for $1 million, it doesn't get you much in California, right? But it certainly does in many different areas in Florida. And so yes, people are seeing the opportunities in Florida and of course other opportunities across the United States, and they're leaving California to take advantage of that. But now when it comes to California, not everyone is leaving due to affordability. They may look to find a more affordable place to live in California. So for example, for those that needing to be closer to San Francisco, they may actually opt to living in Sacramento. Sacramento is much more affordable than living right in San Francisco. So in California, it might also be an exit just from City 1 to City 2 that's just a little bit more affordable. The second signal we're going to look at is DIY one-way truck moves. And here I'm really talking about U-Hauls, right? Those people who are doing it themselves. They're packing boxes, they're putting it into the U-Haul, and they're driving over from location A and B. They're moving themselves to a new place. So this is the most affordable, or one of the most affordable ways of moving. And based on 2024 U-Haul numbers, what it shows is that South Carolina was the #1 for inflows, and that follows then by Texas, North Carolina, Florida, and Tennessee. California ranked as the biggest outflow. And so what does this information matter? Well, it tells us that for those people who are maybe everyday households and perhaps not the ultra wealthy or the wealthy, they're looking for opportunities to live in a place that's perhaps more affordable, right? So it often is a signal, an early signal of affordability-driven migration. And so if you're a buyer that's looking exactly for that, an affordable place to live in, this is the data that you're going to want to look at because it's going to give you some ideas of where to move to. Also, if it's migration outward, that may actually open up an opportunity for you as well. Certain pockets in California may see more people moving out. And look, if demand goes down, supply stays the same, because that's relatively what's happening in California. They're not really adding much to the supply, but prices will come down. If you wanted to live in certain pockets in California, then this is your opportunities to look at these types of data sets. Now, the third one is really interesting to me because that's an indication of where future demand could possibly be in, and that is looking at online searches. So what are people looking for? Where are they wanting to move to? What are some of the cities that consistently are being searched by people? And so here we're going to tap into Redfin.com, their stats, and on top of the list is actually surprisingly Sacramento, California, then following Phoenix, Salisbury, Cape Coral in Florida, and in 5th position is Sarasota. And I'm super excited about this one because it's an indication for me, I live in Sarasota, that people are still very much interested to live in Sarasota. And I'm not surprised because it is a destination place, but we've had our challenges, which I'm not going to get into in this video. Now, looking at outflow, where are people looking to move from? And this is not going to be surprising to anybody because there's going to be a common thread here. Top of the list is LA, New York, Washington, Seattle, and San Francisco. What do they all have in common? Very expensive housing market. People are looking for a more affordable way of life. And understanding online searches to me is very important because it is an indication, again, of places that are top of mind for people. And in many cases, that could actually translate into a move, a sale within 1 to 3 months, maybe even longer than that, really depending on someone's, of course, timeline. But a lot of these searches will translate into moves and sales thereafter. Buyers, you have a real opportunity to look at this data, understand it. If there's a place that you've been really keen on moving to, purchasing a property perhaps, and it's actually on top of the list for everybody else, then you have an opportunity to make a decision right now. Perhaps now's the time to purchase if everything else kind of aligns with your life. Now, if you're a seller, you also have an opportunity to tailor your listing much more towards out-of-market buyers. But here's a quick reality check, and that is far less people are now moving versus the pre-pandemic days. But when it comes to searches and saved searches, that is actually way up. It's an indication that if everything falls into place, maybe the mortgage interest rates will drop if that's what they're waiting for, or perhaps they're closer to retirement, or maybe they have a job opportunity in the place, the city that they've been really keen to moving in, they're going to act. The fourth signal is one that's going to be a real indication of the future of the housing market, and it's going to tie this all together, and that is understanding the job market. So if you're moving to a place or you're thinking about moving to a certain place, understand what job opportunities are there, because that's where a lot of buyers are going to want to move to. Many understand that if there's plenty of jobs around where they live, it's going to keep up the economy and, of course, demand living there. And so if we look at, say, Miami, for example, the job growth in 2024, and this is based on BLS numbers, which stands for the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the job growth was actually 2.5%, and that's really led by healthcare, of course, construction, real estate, and tech. Now, California is going to be a little bit mixed. In LA and San Francisco, for example, especially in the tech industry, there's been quite a bit of layoffs, plus also a lot of the data-driven types of maybe entry-level jobs, more mundane jobs that can be replaced by AI are starting to already get replaced by AI, and I foresee this only getting worse. Why is it so important to look at job growth, especially if you're somebody that's trying to predict the likelihood of a housing market to be strong in the future? Jobs kind of tie it all together, so you must know this information, and that information is in the BLS, so tap into that. Buyers, if you're looking for appreciation in the future, so make sure that you're relatively close to a job hub, right? Because that's always going to draw people in. Once you've looked at all these different signals, you're going to want to understand how it all overlaps. So for example, looking at Miami, because it is one of the most popular places to move to still today. It's a hot spot, right? It shows that it has strong inflows. It has high search results. And the job growth is around 2%, give or take. So there's a lot of job opportunities in Miami. Now, understanding this, we also have to drill in much deeper. And this is where local information comes in. Certainly there's issues in Miami as well, such as hurricanes, insurance costs, and on the condo side, because of the Surfside bill, condo sales, especially those that are older, are actually seeing declines in the median price. Not so much for newer condos. Those prices are actually going up. because a lot of buyers are now purchasing newer condos because of the Surfside issue. I'm not going to get into the Surfside bill right now, but I did do a video about it recently, and I'm going to link to it at the end of this video, so feel free to tap into that. The key takeaway is you must get local information. As you can see, it's not just about the mortgage interest rate, though certainly it would be nice if the mortgage interest rate came down, because it's going to allow more of you to afford a home, and some of you may actually come back off the fence because now you can afford a house. But looking at these 4 lenses or signals, as I named it, and talking through it in my video, I think it's going to allow you to see other opportunities as well outside of the mortgage interest rate. And I think that's actually the real story. That's the story of 2025, is where people are moving to and from, because that's going to be very telling in terms of the local situation in those housing markets. I thank you all for tuning in today. If you enjoyed this video, please do me a favor, give it a like. If you enjoy realistic housing information, perhaps this channel is for you. And I thank you so much for tuning in today, for sticking with me until the very end. I really appreciate you guys. I thank you. This was Katrin's take, my take. I wish you guys all a great day.